This is a place for the client to not just watch movies, but also to come and relax and escape the rest of the house. For any project, what we're looking to do in terms of design is start to lay out the room and look at it fundamentally. So the first selection is always looking at how many people are we seating in the room, how are we going to seat them in the room, and where do we need to place those seats to get the best outcome for audio and picture quality. And then everything sort of starts from there onwards. The client just wanted to have a beautiful cinema that obviously performed its function for sound and picture quality, but also he wanted something that was themed to him personally.
The client came to us wanting to display records, and he mentioned having a collection of turntables, and we thought it'd be a really beautiful way to pay homage to all these interesting and rare turntables. We thought that we could utilize that in the design, not only making it an aesthetic feature, but also a functional feature.
When we discovered how many record players we had, I decided that we could actually feature it in the room and turn that into an acoustic solution. You can see the angle of the turntable. If I have sound coming from the speaker off to the side and it hits that turntable, it's actually not coming down and hitting my ear directly. It's being directed away from my ear. It will actually come back again because up above this fabric there's diffusers that's scattering the sound. So some of that sound will hit a surface and maybe bounce off towards the front of the room. But that delay and that reverb is what actually adds to the balance of the room of making it sound really natural. There is sound coming off the sides of that speaker, and we want sound in the room that's enveloping you with sort of sound coming from different directions. That makes the sound stage bigger than what it would have been otherwise. When you first walk into a room, what a room sounds like, that signature is what we're actually after. All of our cinemas we would design, we would have an acoustically transparent screen, and so if you came up really close to this, you could see tiny little perforations. So having that as an acoustically transparent front wall where everything in front of us is actually allowing sound to travel through it means that we've got the ability to place all of our speakers and subwoofers at the correct locations in the room and get that best balance. We're wanting to make the room as quiet as possible, and one of the noisiest things in the room is the projector. So we want to quieten that down by putting it into what we call a hush box. It's a sealed box, which means we need an optical glass in there that's not going to detract from the quality of the image. But that leads to a further problem, which is heat. Getting rid of that heat, once again, could introduce a lot of noise. So there's fans attached to that ventilation system, so how those fans are mounted, the sound can't actually travel through the structure back into the room. We need to balance out how much air we need to move through the box. So there's an intake fan and an outtake fan, and then we vary those fan speeds to get the right balance in the box so that the pressure is correct in the box, the air movement's correct in the box. To get those fans and get everything as quiet as it possibly can be, it's just an important element or important step of the project.
The materiality in this room was chosen specifically for this space. We've got a loop pile woolen carpet that adds a sense of comfort and lushness to the space. We've got a acoustically transparent fabric along the walls and the ceiling, which creates this continuity throughout the room, and it makes the room feel larger. Timber that was chosen is a nice dark walnut, and it really ties in throughout the space and creates this moody atmosphere that you want in a cinema space.
We're typically cooling these rooms, almost never heating them, even in the middle of winter. These rooms are incredibly stable in temperature because the sound isolation that we've done, thermally they hold their temperature really well and don't shift overly much. So having the return air up high means that we're taking the heat out of the room up high and the system's cooling really efficiently, and we want that airflow to be nice and slow. To make the space feel larger in a small room like this, it really comes down to the lighting.
The lighting for the turntables was designed specifically to make them look like they were floating. There's hidden pin lights under each turntable and a spotlight above, and it really gives that idea that these turntables are floating, including the black bracing, the black fabric. Everything makes it seem seamless, and it puts the focus on the turntables.
And it's amazing on a project like this where the room actually looked bigger when we're completed than when we started. The room is just very simple and intuitive to use. There's a single light switch there, 4 buttons on it. We keep that consistent through all of our projects. So the first button is the scene that we've set that makes the room look beautiful. The second scene is I'm actually watching content on the screen. I want a little bit of light. The third mode is cleaning, everything nice and bright, and the fourth is off. Apart from potentially turning the AC on and off, and you can change temperature from here, you can control everything from the touch screen above. Seating is important to get right in the room. It's the first thing that we would look at from a cinema design perspective. While this is a small room and it's only 4 seats, the reality is that the 2 outside chairs are closer to the walls and are going to have more bass at those seats, no matter what I do. I can arrange the subwoofers in this room, and I have arranged the subwoofers in the room to try and even out that bass response and get it to be as flat as it possibly can be.
The CinemaWorks Sydney chair is the ultimate lounging chair for a cinema. It's got your motorized footrest, your motorized headrest, but it still adds this sense of relaxation to a space.
Because we're typically a separate contractor for the project, there's an electrical contractor doing the entire house. We get the electrician to provide us a separate subboard, which is just for the cinema. So the electrician is responsible to the subboard, and we're responsible electrically from the subboard to the cinema. And that keeps everything nice and clean when we're sort of handling the project, or if there's issues later on, then we can come in and do all of our work independently of the rest of the house. This is an IP power rail. It's an important hidden part of the projects that we're doing. We're individually monitoring and controlling every component in the project. So we can dial into this system from anywhere in Australia, and from that we can collect data, which helps us not just in this project, but in future projects, in calculating power draws and power requirements for our projects.
This is a completely bespoke design that was designed specifically for this space. You won't see this anywhere else, and I think that's what makes this room so amazing.
For our client, what we're hoping that they have at the end of the project is just simply a room they're going to enjoy movies. From a designer perspective, I want the room to be a beautiful, aesthetic room that they're going to love whenever they walk into. When the materials are right and the lighting's correct and the texture of the room is fantastic, you walk in and brings something to you. I certainly would love to have that for our clients, but at the end of the day, when they turn the lights off, they're going to sit down and watch a movie and the room should disappear.